So we finally got some good news before week 1, and honestly, it's the kind of news that changes how we look at this offense as fans. ESPN just dropped a big prediction. And you know what? To me, this actually backs up management's vision. If it plays out the way they think, we're going to see outstanding results. Now, on top of that, we've also got some new moves on the offensive line this week, so let's get into it. What's up, Chargers fans? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Chargers. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the Bolts. Okay, let's start with the big prediction. ESPN just came out with a bold prediction, and I mean bold, that Omarion Hampton, the Chargers rookie running back, is going to have a better season than Raiders rookie Ashton Jeanty. Not only that, Dan Graziano straight up said Hampton could win Offensive Rookie of the Year. That's not just hype from Charger fans. That's national media putting him in the same conversation as the top rookies in the league. And remember, just a few months ago, all the talk was about Najee Harris fixing this run game. Then the freak accident with his eye happens in July, and suddenly it's like, okay, now what? Well, what happened was Omarion Hampton showed up to camp and looked like a dude. He didn't just hold his own, he turned heads right away. And when you've got ESPN and The Athletic saying he could finish top 5 in rushing, that's validation. That's not smoke. That's real respect. Here's the other thing. The Chargers barely used him in preseason. 4 carries across 4 games. To me, that screams, we're saving this guy. They didn't need to see it. They know what they've got, and they're about to unleash him week 1 against the Chiefs in Brazil. That's why I think this is genuinely good news, because it changes how defenses game plan against us. They can't just sell out on Justin Herbert. They've got to account for Hampton being a factor from day 1. Now, that's the exciting part, but let's be real. The running game only goes as far as the offensive line allows it to, and that's where I've got some new moves to break down. So, let's talk about Austin Deculus, because this move has a lot of people asking questions, and I've gone back and done the work on his preseason tape to get a better picture. Deculus was a 6th-round pick in 2022, out of LSU, drafted by the Texans. Since then, he's bounced around quite a bit. Houston originally, then short stints with the Jets practice squad, the Saints practice squad, and then back to Houston. So right away, that tells you what kind of career he's had so far. A fringe roster guy who's good enough to keep getting looks, but not good enough to stick as a starter anywhere. He's logged almost 500 preseason snaps in his career, split pretty evenly between left tackle and right tackle. That's valuable because, you know, the Chargers are always looking for someone who can be a swing option. In the regular season, he's played 68 snaps, all at left tackle, with 2 starts and 1 spot duty performance. That's not a ton of NFL experience, but it's enough to see how he looks against real competition. When you dive into his game, the first thing that jumps off the screen is his strike. This guy has some real pop in his hands. In both the run game and pass protection, when he lands that first punch, defenders feel it. You can see him knock guys off their spot in the run game, and you can see him stun rushers in pass protection if he times it right. That's a big deal because the Chargers haven't had many backups who can create that kind of impact. He also loves to quick set. Basically, get out of his stance fast, get his hands on the defender early, and control the rep before the pass rusher even gets rolling. That's clearly where he's most comfortable. Now, here's the other side of it. The lower half just doesn't match the upper half. He doesn't have the foot speed to consistently keep up with outside rusher. If a defender wins the corner with pure speed, Deculus doesn't recover. He doesn't have that kind of athleticism. Once he loses the rep, it's over. That was really clear when I watched him against Carolina this preseason. He was matched up with Prince Tega Wanogho, a speed guy through and through, and Deculus just couldn't get there. He's aggressive, he wants contact, but sometimes he just can't get to the spot in time. And that's why he's bounced around the league. The flashes are there, but the consistency and the recovery ability just aren't. The good news is that the Chargers offense might actually fit him better than Houston's did. Houston has been running a lot of outside zone, where tackles are asked to cover ground horizontally and mirror defenders in space. That's not Deculus's game. The Chargers under Greg Roman are going to be more downhill, more physical, more about creating lanes and then climbing to the second level. That's where his strike and aggressiveness can shine. So, in that sense, the scheme fit makes sense. He's not the answer at swing tackle, but as a 4th tackle on the roster, I think he makes sense. And when you compare his tape to guys like Brendan Jeemies or David Sharp or even Branson Taylor, it's clear he's a level above. He looks like he belongs out there, which is more than I can say for some of the other depth tackles we've watched this preseason. So where do I land? I think this move clears the bar, but it doesn't solve the problem. Sarell is still the real swing tackle, and that's not changing. The Chargers were never able to find someone to push him back inside to guard, and that's disappointing. But Deculus is at least a guy who has some upside as a fourth tackle, and he's under contract next year. So you get a little long-term flexibility. It's not flashy, but it's fine. Now, moving to foster Sarell. I know this one made a lot of fans groan. Here we go again with Sarell. But let's be honest about what this is. He's not coming in to compete for a starting job. He's not even guaranteed a roster spot. This is a practice squad signing, and in that role, it makes sense. The Chargers cut David Sharp, and in that exchange, they bring back someone who's familiar with the team, who's in shape, and who has versatility. Last year, Sarell played left tackle, right tackle, and even some right guard in preseason and regular season snaps. That matters when you're talking about depth linemen. And look, if you're comparing numbers, Sarell actually had a better pass blocking efficiency rating than Deculus did with the Texans this past preseason. Deculus was somewhere around 96.5, Sarell was above 97. That's not great compared to starters, but for your 10th lineman, that's fine. And what this move really gives you is a short-term safety net. While Deculus is getting up to speed with the playbook and figuring out his place, you can elevate Sarell from the practice squad for a week or two and at least have someone you trust to not completely blow a rep. He's not going to be your swing tackle. He's not going to be your long-term answer. But as the 10th guy on the depth chart, it's solid. Honestly, I think they should have just kept him around last year instead of letting him walk, but that's hindsight. For where they're at now, I'm fine with it. The one that hurts, though, is Trevor Keegan. The Chargers wanted him. I was told they had at least one offensive lineman in mind when the waiver process opened, and sure enough, it was Keegan. But the Cowboys got there first. And that's frustrating because Keegan is exactly the type of player this team needs right now. Younger, under contract on a rookie deal, with some center flexibility and long-term upside. He's not someone you're signing to start week one, but he's someone you can develop into a guard center swing piece while giving yourself future stability. Because let's not forget, Trey Pipkins, Sarell, Andre James, and Zion Johnson are all free agents after this season. That's a lot of turnovers coming, and Keegan could have been part of the solution. So, what does missing on Keegan tell us? It tells us this offensive line is still incomplete. They're sitting at 8 linemen on the 53, and that's just not tenable. Almost every other team in the league has 9 or 10. Some even carry 11. You can't go into week 1 with only 8. Greg Roman said it himself. Things are fluid. And he'd be shocked if this group doesn't change before the season opener. That means another move is coming. Maybe it's a trade. Maybe it's signing someone off another practice squad. Maybe it's taking a swing at a guy like Tyre Phillips. But they need one more.